Tonight, the Empire State Building glowing in blue in partnership with the Clinton Global Initiative, all part of Climate Week. And we begin our week-long coverage with the federal government's scientific agency responsible for monitoring and forecasting weather, and global warming is keeping them busy. We're joined now by Benjamin DeAngelo, Deputy Director of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Climate Program. Mr. DeAngelo, thanks for being here. You know, we have a lot of new data to unpack, so let's get right to it. Just days ago, we learned that last month was the hottest August ever, breaking NOAA's records. Both hemispheres saw record warm seasons. Explain how you guys came to that determination.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. So at NOAA, we observe weather and climate trends around the clock throughout the year. We do it from land-based measuring stations, from weather stations. We do it from the oceans, from ships. NOAA actually has a small fleet of its own research vessels, but also through buoys and floats. We take direct measurements in the air, in the atmosphere, through planes, for example, and what we call field campaigns. And we also do measurements from space. NOAA has its own satellites. And everything that we're observing, we see multiple signs, multiple lines of evidence showing a warming planet. Whether we look at air temperatures, ocean temperatures, Arctic sea ice, glaciers, and even changes in precipitation patterns and a number of extreme events. All of these phenomena that we're observing are changing or moving in the direction that one would expect in a warming world.
And you know, severe weather is becoming the norm. According to NOAA, the world saw well over a dozen named storms last year. Explain what's driving this.
Yeah, and first I'll say that NOAA does track what we refer to as billion-dollar disasters in the United States. So these are weather or climate-related events, each of which cause at least $1 billion in damage in some region of the United States. And we are seeing an upward trend in the number of these billion-dollar disasters. In 2022, I think this is what you're referring to, we had 18 of these billion-dollar disasters. And in 2023 alone, we're already at 23 billion-dollar disasters.
NOAA released a report a few days ago about the Antarctic. What's happening with sea ice and why are scientists concerned about it?
Well, first off, sea ice decline is one of the telling, and certainly in the Arctic, it is one of the most compelling indicators of a rapidly changing climate. The Arctic, the North Pole, is changing about 3 times as fast as the rest of the world. That is actually expected. It's in line with our understanding of climate change, and it's in line with our understanding of the Arctic itself. Now, the climate system is all interconnected, so even changes in the remote Arctic can have effects that we are concerned about in the United States. There is growing evidence, though it still needs some more research, that the rapid sea ice decline in the Arctic is having an influence on weather patterns in the United States. And of course, the rapid decline in Arctic sea ice also has a lot of significant implications for communities, especially indigenous communities living in the Arctic.
Yeah, and world leaders, as you know, are meeting at the UN this week, and climate change is one of the major issues on the agenda. Can you talk about how the U.S. is doing its part to reduce our global footprint of fossil fuels, especially?
Yeah, well, from NOAA, some of our senior leaders are going to be there in New York for Climate Week. I mean, one thing we are certainly doing in the United States is that We have one of the largest climate research enterprises in the world, with agencies like NOAA and NASA, Department of Energy, U.S. Geologic Society Service. We're all doing a significant amount of climate change research to better understand the problem, improve our predictions of a changing climate, to better estimate risks faced by people. And we're also investing a lot in mitigation technologies. There's going to be an assessment coming out soon that will catalog progress that's being made by the federal government and communities across the country in both adapting and trying to become more resilient to a changing climate, but also what is happening on the emission reduction mitigation front. Bottom line, a lot of progress is being made. However, I will say the actions are still insufficient to avoid what we think may be the worst possible outcomes associated
Okay.
with climate change.
Benjamin DeAngelo with NOAA's climate program. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.